things I'm doing are music and art related. And then there's the unschooling thing, and that pretty much makes up my life right there. So yeah, it's a good place to start.
Nice. So, I think you're in Vermont right now, right? And you were also
Yeah.
born there? Is that so?
I was actually born in Los Angeles, in California.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my parents moved out to Vermont when I was pretty little, like 6, because the part of why is because the unschooling and homeschooling laws in California are extremely strict. Um, and they weren't loving that. And I think also just because they didn't want to raise a kid in downtown Los Angeles because it was getting pretty sleazy around that time.
I see.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you have a small profile on grown unschoolers. So I read through that and I learned that your parents are really into the concept of unschooling and that form of education. So I guess what I was really curious about was how much of that you resonate with growing up, since it was very much seemed like an influence from your parents, and then how your ideas about it developed as you grew older.
Yeah. So I had a feeling coming into this that you might regret having me on because
Oh, no way.
I don't resonate with much of it at all, much of the unschooling agenda particularly.
Yeah.
But yeah, my parents were very into it because they just, what you'll hear many people say, they saw the educational system in the States, they looked at it and went, oh God, that's terrible. And there's got to be something better that we can do. Especially, again, coming from LA, where like in public schools, it took forever to get into the school in the morning because you have to go through all the security layers and there's constantly people bringing in guns there and it's just insane.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were very into this idea. We went through like a bunch of curriculums, like the Waldorf curriculum and all that stuff. That's the main one that I can remember. I'm not great with remembering names of things. And then my thing, as far as how I resonate with that, is that I think for the profession, especially that I've chosen, but I think for any profession, a huge importance is in social connection.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know how to make social connection, you are, I shouldn't curse probably, but you're screwed.
You can curse.
You are fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in anything, in any job, especially nowadays, how the job industry is changing, you really need to know how to network and how to talk to people and not be a people pleaser, but you need to know how to portray yourself and to get along if you want to get anywhere. And I think that unschooling really, really like takes a huge chunk out of that skill. You really don't get to learn a lot of that, or at least I didn't. And I know that many unschoolers didn't, that I know. Terrible sentence. So yeah, that's a large part of why I don't resonate with it. It's like the overall general thing, but yeah.
I think that's a really good point, though, that not enough people talk about.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it could be easily fixable. Like, I don't think that you should choose to not unschool or homeschool your child for that reason, because you can take extremes to make sure that doesn't happen, like doing tons of after-school curricular activities and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's something that kind of slips through the cracks a bit.
Totally. Yeah, and I don't think it matters how you were schooled or what education you have. If you don't have that skill to make connections, you're, as you said, fucked.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much.
Really, really badly. Even going into college, if you don't know how to network and talk to your teachers and talk to the people you need to talk to, or if on top of not knowing how, you have extreme anxiety around it, like, it's hard. It's really difficult. Yeah. Let me know at any point if I am moving too much with the headphones, and I'll try to switch them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you switch them out, is there going to be echo, or should it be okay?
I have no idea. I have some Bluetooth headphones that I could try, and we could see what happens.
Yeah, let's do
Should I
that.
give it a shot?
Yeah, let's
All
do
right,
it.
let me give it a shot.
Okay. Nice. Where were we?
Great.
Oh, when you left, I was just saying how the previous guy I interviewed had he when he started unschooling, he began experiencing like social anxiety
Mm,
problems. So I
yeah.
thought like, yeah, that's fair point you
Oh yeah.
made.
To this day, I have so many social anxiety problems. They've gotten a lot better,
Yeah.
and I thought like I went up to Montreal and I went to college, and we could come back to that. And but I thought that like doing that had fixed the problem, and then I came back home this January, and I've been here this whole time, and I just feel the social anxiety coming back
Uh,
completely. Every skill I have learned has decreased.
uh,
And I'm like, damn, this is just going to be a lifelong process. And maybe it is for people in school too. Maybe I just have social anxiety and I would have either way. I don't know. But yeah, sucks.
yeah, it's not an easy thing to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, plus with I think because we're so used to what's going on right now in the world with the pandemic,
Mm,
it's like it's hard to discount that. But when I do consider that, I'm always thinking like, oh yeah, it makes sense to for mental health issues just to get worse during this time. 'Cause
yeah,
there's so much uncertainty.
definitely. And then the uncertainty on top of being trapped by yourself, or maybe worse with your family, or
Maybe
just
worse.
being trapped, period. It doesn't help mental health at
Mm-hmm.
all. Yeah, it's a mess. Everything's a mess right now.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, there are a few ways we could go. I'm thinking
Mm.
maybe we could talk more about your unschooling experience, or also I'm really interested in all your art making stuff, endeavors.
Yeah.
Or I guess those are the main two paths. Like which one are you more interested in talking about today?
Um, well, either one is probably good. I probably have more to say about the art stuff.
Yeah.
Just because that's what I'm excited about. But also, we could definitely do some of the upbringing as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
the upbringing. We could probably start with the upbringing and go into the art stuff,
Yeah,
because the
sounds good.
upbringing might be short with what I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I
Yeah.
see. It might have something to do with your art stuff too, so that
A
might be
bit. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
A bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Um. Yeah. So, oh boy, where do I start? Any suggestions? Just start from the beginning.
That's a big thing to start with.
Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna go back to moving from LA,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see how well I can do this without rambling too much.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, we moved to Vermont. Like I think, yeah, you mentioned. My parents wanted to start a farm here, so we just like my whole childhood was moving. Well, okay, wait, going back again. California, they went to literally every state before choosing Vermont. We'll add in there, just to like feel the vibe of the state. Sounds like a very homeschooling thing to do. And then they got to Vermont and they were like, oh, this is it. Okay, we're going to set up here. And so they wanted to get a piece of land and they wanted to build their own house. And they started doing that. And then it started to snow and that kind of just fizzled out. And then we just ended up living in like literally every town in Vermont that I can think of. So yeah, we moved around quite a bit and spent a lot of time in the wilderness. Like growing up, I was pretty much, like from my memory anyways, alone a lot of the time, just like in the woods. Like not that there weren't other kids around, like there wasn't anybody else around besides my family. So that continued until I was about, oh boy, my memory gets all fuzzy. I want to say like 7 or 8. And that's kind of around when we started getting into like, okay, we should probably start schooling our child. How are we going to do this? And I believe they started with the Waldorf program, which as a 7-year-old I put up with for about 2 weeks before I like threw so many tantrums. They just went, you know what, never mind, we're going to unschool you. So I can't really tell you what Waldorf is because I don't remember, but it's a curriculum. Many of you are probably going to know it better than me, so I'm afraid to say anything, but I remember the one thing from it is that there was art and you would copy the art. Was like to teach you how to draw, so you would just be copying other artworks, which I mention this because when we come to my music stuff, we're going to come back to that. In fact, that's definitely something that spilled over. So yeah, kind of remember the Waldorf program. At one point, I joined a little Waldorf group with like 2 other kids, which is very useful. And then later on, in my like teen years, we moved into more of a town with more people and more kids, and I started trying to figure out what socializing was and how to do it. And I also then joined another homeschooling group that turned into kind of like a private school eventually, but I wasn't around for that, where I really started to meet people. And for how we approached the curriculum, it was just really, like, I barely remember doing anything in particular. It was just, I would decide what I wanted to do that day, and which was generally something music related or just reading, and I would do it without, like, my parents were never telling me what to do. They were never, doing much of anything. I remember at some point my name got in the system in Vermont, and I forget what it's called, a truant officer or something showed up at our house because they thought that my parents were abusing me and keeping me out of school because they had me on record, but then they couldn't find me anywhere. And I think that was like mid-teens. And from that point onward, we had to like fake a curriculum. And once a year, some advisor from the government would come and check up on me, and I would just lie. I don't know if I should be admitting this online, but they can't do anything now. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. That's my very rambly sum up of growing up.
Okay, there's a lot packed in there.
Yeah, there was, I honestly, I don't know how I learned anything. I just absorbed the information from reading.
Yeah, how did you learn to read and write? Was that something your parents forced on you, or?
No, so my parents, so with reading specifically, this is when we were still in California, so I was under 6th, and they decided that their approach to teaching me things would be to show me how to do it once or twice, and then just trust that eventually I would figure out how to do it myself. So instead of like being like, okay, well, she should be reading by now, we should maybe hurry along this process. So they would read to me, and then eventually I just started not reading, but memorizing what they read to me and repeating it back to them, pretending I was reading. And then after that, I actually just started reading one day. Like I literally just picked up the book and I started reading. They never taught me how to read. They never forced it on me. They just showed. They just read to me. And that was reading. It was the same with tying my shoes, although for some reason that took a lot longer. And also with telling time as well, which also took longer. But they never taught me anything. And I remember those 3 things specifically because I remember them watching me, and I remember people, like outsider people, saying, she should know how to do this by now. You should be teaching her. You should be like putting more in there. Like, no, we're not going to do that. And then I don't remember what, it wasn't like one day, oh, I could suddenly read, but like I don't know, there was just one day I could and one day I couldn't, and it didn't seem different in my mind. Like it didn't seem like, oh, I couldn't do this thing and now I can. It just was. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah, a bit. Just like learning English when you're a baby, right? You kind of get taught, but you also pretty much just pick it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Was it the same way with you and music? Would you say?
Actually, kind of. I never really took any lessons. Maybe like a couple guitar lessons that most, well, I'm not going to say that.
Uh-oh.
Never mind.
It's okay. Say whatever you're
in case.
comfortable with.
Some of the guitar, I took guitar lessons from a bunch of different people, and not just guitar lessons, but all of the lessons that I took. I think I took a smattering of piano lessons, guitar lessons, accordion lessons, singing lessons. Every time I took a lesson, I don't think it helped much, and some of them definitely hurt more than they helped. Which is backwards with how you would think about things. But yeah, I mostly just watched YouTube videos of my favorite performers, watched how they would play their instrument, and then try to emulate it. And that's how I learned everything that I can do now. So yeah, very similar learning process.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... I've only heard stories about that, like with I don't know, famous musicians who are like, I learned by ear.
Yeah.
It's so cool to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely more common than you would think. I met a lot of people in Montreal who have done the same thing, which really helped with my all forms of anxiety, my music anxiety, because I was definitely always anxious that I didn't learn things the way people normally learn them with music. Frankly, maybe with everything actually, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always good to know that there's someone doing something like how you did it.
Exactly. Or it's
Yeah.
someone who thinks the same way, or just finding common things. It's like I'm not alone.
Exactly. It's a very nice feeling, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'd like to know more about how your opinions differ with your parents on school, because you said you kind of disagree with that philosophy.
Yeah, mainly I disagree just because of that social aspect, and I feel that that is just so important, especially for children, to be exposed to a lot of people and a lot of different opinions, and not be isolated when they're growing up. I think that is just really important with development and future skills. I would argue maybe even more important than the education aspect of, like, because I will totally admit that the educational aspect in schools is terrible. Like, sometimes it works for people. Maybe you have a good school system in your neighborhood. But for the most part, like, it's pretty terrible. But I almost don't think the education matters as much as the social aspect.
It's people just throw it to the side. I don't know why.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's really the biggest reason. And second, I guess, okay, this is what it is, work ethic. So yeah, relating to I think I already said rambly again, but dropped out of university in Montreal and came back in January. And I've really been focusing on my career, what I want to do, setting up goals, setting up plans, and trying to have structured days. Because being self-employed is difficult. You really have to watch yourself. And so you would think, oh, that's going to be very annoying. Get caught in my microphone. You would think that unschooling would help you with this because you have had to deal with your own curriculum forever. But I don't know. I'm questioning that, and I have a really hard time with my own work ethic and with maintaining balance and doing the things that I need to do. Like, very, very, very hard time. And I do think that that is because I never learned how to have a work ethic. So I never, and maybe this is why homeschooling might be better than unschooling, because then you are kind of forced to feel what working each day is like. But yeah, I'm losing my sentence here, but that's another aspect there. And, it could also just be the person. Maybe some people have good work ethic and some don't. And going to school doesn't make a difference. I don't know. I never went to school, so I'm saying all this stuff, but I really don't have the comparison. But I don't know. I feel like if you do have to show up somewhere every day, it might suck. You might gain nothing from it, but you did kind of feel what it was like to put in a certain amount of time and energy towards something, sort of. Yeah. So those are my two biggies.
I see. Yeah. I guess some unschooling families will just lack structure completely.
Yeah.
What
Mm,
I know, some people who enjoy school will tell me that they like it because of the structure. Because
yeah.
yeah, they know they'll get something done every day, and that gives
Yeah.
them peace in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. I definitely think there's something to that. Again, it depends on the person, but I don't know. Something there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. My unschooling bring up definitely had zero structure whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
Um, so yeah, maybe if it was just a structured environment or unschooling environment, it would help with that and fix it. What was you said you went to school until you were 17, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And then
Go ahead.
yeah, then I dropped out essentially.
Okay. What was your experience with that kind of feel of work ethic?
Yeah. The funny thing, I was brought up kind of the opposite way you were,
Okay.
where it was like a lot of structure. So I was basically told what to study all the time. And for me, it still had the same result where I have really bad work ethic. If that's interesting for you.
Yeah. It could just be the person. Like maybe I've got it all wrong. I'm just trying to blame something other than myself. That could be it entirely.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, it stems from something different, maybe, because for me, it's always been more about how do I put it? Feeling like things aren't worthwhile or productive. So my work ethic doesn't really. I'm not motivated to do things that I want sometimes. So I think it's different, but we've kind of come to the same result in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you wouldn't do things that you weren't as productive with things that you wanted to do because you didn't deem them worthy of work ethic. Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. And that could maybe be a result of schooling having like ground into your mind what is worthy and what is not.
I think
perhaps.
so, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that too. There's problems with both of these things.
Yep.
Yeah. There's no good solution.
Problems everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of private school alternative that's the perfect amount of problem less, but those are always so expensive, you know? The very expensive option. So like, yeah, difficult to.
And you said you did Waldorf. I actually went to a Waldorf high school for a little bit.
Okay.
And I didn't enjoy it very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I only enjoyed it because that was the first time it was a group again in the middle of nowhere in Vermont with 2 other kids, which was like a festival to me. Like I'd never been with that many people. And yeah, so I think I loved the program, but I don't think it was about the program. I think it was about the kids. So yeah. I do remember there was one point where there was this game we'd always play and throw this ball of rubber bands around in like a semicircle and do times multiplication tables. That I hated. But otherwise, yeah.
You were 7 or 8, you said, during that time?
Ish. My memory gets really foggy. It had to have been around that, yeah. From the I like divide my growing up time into chunks. So it had to be between 6 and 8.5. 8.5, 9.
Okay.
Yeah. Between that period.
I see. And then you were kind of isolated before that, pretty much?
Yeah. Before that, we moved into like this apartment in Vermont, and I know there were a couple kids there, but then we didn't stay there long and we moved onto a property. Like I mentioned before, my parents were trying to build a house, and then it started snowing, and someone we met like one time offered us his in-laws' cabin that they had just built that had no like walls and no electricity and no plumbing and no water, and we stayed there for a while. I want to say like a year to a year and a half, but again, as a child, time passed slower, and like memories are all funky during that time period, so I'm not sure. Something like that, yeah. And then after that, there's a little chunk of time missing in my head. I think we were just like bouncing around different places, and then eventually we settled in Montpelier, which is the capital of Vermont, and there's just a little bit more going on.
Okay.
Though still limited amount, but yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I feel like that is really stressful for a child. I don't know.
Yeah. I looking back on it, it was. While I was in it, I didn't know anything else. So I definitely wouldn't say that I found it stressful during, but I don't know that I was particularly happy growing up necessarily. So there was definitely that, and that is definitely an indication of stress, perhaps. Yeah, I'm not sure. I do that a lot, where like I don't necessarily, something's happening, I feel the emotion, but I don't connect with the emotion or connect it to what's happening per se. And so there's this disconnect, which is why also I keep saying like, oh, I've lost chunks of time, I don't remember when that happened. That's also probably why, because I think I was definitely disconnected a lot of the time.
I see. Yeah. Do you mind me asking about your memory more? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. But like, because you keep saying it's fuzzy, right? Do you think it's mostly due to just being disconnected from your surroundings all the time during those periods? Or
I think maybe. I honestly don't know. I've been trying to think about this a lot. Maybe it's just natural growing up. You lose stuff at being a kid, or maybe because I was so disconnected. I think that's definitely a part of it. And I think also I'm definitely blocking a lot of stuff out, because there was a lot of stuff that happened in my childhood that I was like not super fond of, like living in a tent. I was not the type. Not like most kids might find that to be super dreamy, but so just a bunch of stuff, like just little things that I wasn't super fond of, and I think I kind of blocked them out a bit.
I see.
So it could be also a combination of all of that stuff together. It's my best guess. One day I'll figure it out.
Maybe.
Yeah. I hope.
Do you still struggle with that? Is that like having fuzzy memory sometimes, or is it more just in your childhood?
No, that's actually, it's less now. It's definitely less, but I think it's still there for sure. My life has changed a lot really since January, but since last year, really. And there's definitely this weird thing going on where I look at my past self and I recognize it, but there's a disconnect there for sure. Like I don't see that as myself. And because of that, things get lost. And the reason I know they get lost is because I'm now like on the internet constantly, and I have records of tons of stuff, and something pops up and I'm like, wow, like I feel how I felt when I wrote that post or sent that text or listened to that song or whatever. And it's just so much different than how I feel now. But I didn't remember that at all currently, because I'm very tunnel vision, I guess. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, it's
I have my ginormous jar of water.
I know, I like it. I have a teacup.
Oh, nice. That's much more like video.
It's
good
water.
For the video. It's my giant jug.
It's very, it stands out. It's there. Yeah. Well, you dropped out of college? Yeah,
I did. It wasn't even necessarily a decision, really. I never. It's super weird. I feel like my life before this point was never any decisions and just stuff happening and me going with it. But I went up to Montreal to go to university to study music. And mostly, like, it was an excuse to just get into a city, get out of Vermont, and start meeting people. And so I did that. And within 2 weeks of going there, I realized that I was in hell and this was not for me at all. And so I just tried to take as many electives as I could outside of the music program. And I did that for 4 years, 4 years worth of electives. And then I dropped out. This is a very productive time. Not really, but it really changed me. And I don't think I would be able to be doing any of the stuff that I'm doing now or any of the stuff that I hope to do in the future if I hadn't gone and done that, even though it's like super weird sounding and frivolous sounding because I don't have much to show for it. Yeah.
I see. So you couldn't get a degree because you were just taking electives, right?
Exactly. And I wasn't even taking all the electives that I was supposed to be taking either. So by the time 4 years had passed, I had like half the credits I would have needed, even if, you know, I hadn't been taking electives and had actually taken the right classes.
So yeah. You'd have to take another 4 years to complete.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, thank you. 4 was quite enough. Fun, but enough. Yeah.
It sounds like your social anxiety got a lot better due to that.
So much. Oh yeah, for sure. Like 100%. Being thrown into college and all the classes and all this, you realize there's all this stuff that everybody else just knows, like citations and shit that you never learned. And so you have to like really bone up on that one. And then just in general, you know, you have to talk to your teachers. You have to find your classroom. You have to, like, this sounds like super simple stuff, but it's not if you've never done it. So having to go and do all that stuff for yourself and be independent in that way, that helped me so much. I'm so grateful that I did that, even though it was a weird time. But forgot completely what I was gonna say, but
it's okay.
It definitely helped. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So college, the social aspect of college is very important.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend trying it to any unschooler, or homeschooler, especially the ones who haven't, like me, had that much social anything at all. It's really uncomfortable. Like, I will say that it was uncomfortable for like 3 years. I was miserable for 3 years just because it was super overwhelming, but it really changed me for the better a lot. Yeah.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
And since you weren't really studying music at college, it sounds like, because you weren't taking music courses.
I took I think I took one music history class and then I just avoided the entire department. Yeah.
What turned you off to the classes? Like, why not?
Yeah. So specifically, I remember it was like one of the first classes I took, and I went in, and the teacher is standing in front, and it's like a really cool setup, and I'm excited, and it was the course on jazz, and we walk in, and he sits everybody down, and he goes, okay, now listen, none of you can come into playing jazz thinking that you're going to be able to change anything up. Like, you are not allowed to change jazz. You can do what has been done, but you cannot change jazz. Only Miles Davis can change jazz, and none of you are Miles Davis. And I was like, how the fuck do you know? How the fuck do you know that Miles Davis, the new Miles Davis, isn't sitting in front of you right now? You have no idea. There's like 30 kids in front of you. Like, this is so stupid. I hate that atmosphere of classrooms. And I think a large part of why that happens, especially in music and the arts in general, because it happens there so often, is because people who are teaching the arts, any art form, generally didn't want to cheat. They wanted to be doing that art form. They wanted to be a musician. They wanted to be an artist, whatever. And it didn't work because it's a very difficult industry. And so they had to retreat to teaching to make money, and they're bitter about it. So I felt a lot of that, like, I couldn't do it, so you're not going to be able to either. Don't think you can kind of attitude. while I was there. And it's not everybody. There were some great teachers too. I had also a wonderful music history teacher. Like, some people are great teachers. They wanted to be teachers, and that's great. But a lot of them, not the story. Yeah.
That's very sad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, maybe they do it because they think like, oh, music industry is tough. I got to treat you like a piece of crap so you get used to it. But even if that's what they were doing, I don't agree with that either. I think that's a very outdated belief on the arts. And I think that the only way the arts as a whole is going to be successful, because right now it's kind of getting wiped out as being less and less important, or viewed as less important. The only way the arts is going to be successful is if each artist supports each other and we start building stuff up together, which more and more people are starting to do, though there is still competition everywhere, but it's becoming more regular. So yeah, I don't think it's ever good to breed competitiveness in that way. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially art, it's so, like you said, so hard to succeed, or just make a living off of it.
Survive.
Would be a better way to put it.
Yeah.
But, so like you brought up community, so were you able to find your own, I guess, community of artists where you can support each other while you were in school?
Yeah, I did. I was able to meet a bunch of people and have multiple communities that I'm so grateful for, that help with my own personal growth and my artistic growth so much. And what I thought was interesting is that at first I was just being like, okay, I have to meet people. I have to build a community. Oh my God, I have to talk to people. Okay, just talk to this person, open your mouth, speak, say hello, like that kind of thing. And then I built some communities and I was really happy and I was like, this is great. And then I realized on top of that, there's a whole nother aspect, because you can have communities and then you can have and build communities of people that you really relate to, right? So you can just have communities and people that are actually you really relate to and that just you build off of and change you as a person. So when I realized that, I was like, crap. I built communities, but now I have to do this all over again. And actually, man, yeah. So lots of playing around with that. That's something I'm still working on, is how to build, I guess I want to say, meaningful community, even though this sounds like me being an asshole of like, I don't like you. Like, that's not what it is. I just think there's some people that really help your growth, and there's others that are great people, but maybe you don't connect with as well, but you are with and you hang out with because you don't necessarily know how to build a different community or get out of a community, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It's complicated. It's like, it's as complicated as building any romantic relationship, which everybody like will view as a disaster, right? Everybody knows, oh crap, yeah, romantic relationships complicated. Well, friendship relationships are just as complicated, but nobody ever talks about that. It's like, oh, friends, you should have friends. It's even worse, because the friend isn't gonna like specifically break up with you as much as a romantic partner will. They'll just like disappear, and you're like, did I call him? I guess not. I guess we're over. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's really nice to hear you were able to do that though and grow so much through college. It just makes me feel really nice to hear that.
Yeah, me too. It was great. That helped so much. And then really in particular, it was one boyfriend that I had in my last year of college that probably changed everything for me, and really like pushed me and my artistic career forward. So yeah.
Yeah.
Now the question is, how can homeschoolers and unschoolers get that same kind of benefit without having to spend a ton of money to go to college just to learn how to talk to people?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that one, I don't know. There are ways, there are totally ways. They're just harder. And that one's already pretty hard, the college route. So yeah.
That's a big issue.
Yeah.
Not just with unschoolers, I guess, but
Yeah, I guess everybody. I don't.
particularly, I would
Yeah.
say a lot of unschoolers are isolated.
Yeah.
Well,
That is the one thing that I realized, though, is that people often, I kept thinking, oh, it's me. I was homeschooled, so I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to talk to you. You're going to think I'm unworthy because I don't know how to talk to you. And then I realized that they didn't know how to talk to me either, even though they'd gone to school. And that really helped too. Just like take some walls down. I was like, okay, none of us know how to talk to each other. It's great. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No one knows what they're doing in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Lesson number one. Yeah.
So in school, I'm sure you were still doing music, even though you weren't taking classes on it. So how did that work?
Yeah, so really funny. The 2 weeks that I did well, I guess it was the first year actually that I was doing music because I had my one music history class in the music department. So I was in that department for one day a week for a year. And I connected with a lot of the music students just through that. And surprisingly to me, those connections actually lasted for the full 4 years. I knew a lot of people in the music department. So I made a lot of connections that way. A lot of music playing happened that way. And I also was playing shows randomly, playing with other people, playing some open mics, and just little things on the side like that, and just getting used to playing. But mostly what I was trying to do throughout that entire period was find my voice because I write songs is the biggest thing that I do. So I was trying to find my voice as a songwriter, and I could only really do that by finding my voice in general, finding out who I was and what I liked and all that stuff. So it was related to music in the way that I was just finding out who I was so that I could put that into my music.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did. It's always been really weird. I started writing songs when I was 12, I think, like folk songs on the guitar. And then I decided I didn't like that maybe a couple years later, and I switched over to writing songs on the piano. And then it took me like, oh God, a really long time. I want to say like 4 or 5 years. I think I started piano when I was 16. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, like around 22-ish, 6 years. I finally started writing songs again on the piano. And they still weren't, like, I could tell I was getting closer to the voice that I wanted, but they weren't great. At that point, I was in Montreal, but I hadn't been there long. And I was playing shows with these songs, and they were good, and it was fine, but wasn't what I wanted. And then after that is when I met this boyfriend, and the reason, I don't know how I'm going to be viewed if I say this, but I'm going to say it anyways, the reason that helped a lot is because he got me into psychedelics. So weed became legal in Montreal, and that helped me become more open to trying it because I'd always been very judgmental against drugs. And so I tried weed, and that just really opened up my mind a lot to be able to reflect on myself and my own behaviors. And then after that, I think I tried psilocybin mushrooms once, and LSD, and just like in a very, like, not try them in a party sense, but like prepped for them, meditated for them, tried them with my boyfriend as a guide very carefully, to explore my own mind. And that has helped me more than anything in my entire life. And then that was last year. That's why I just think a long time ago that I never came back to. I said last year, like, I've really changed as a person. That's really why. And so that just recently I started writing songs after some of those experiences, and it's the first time I felt like I really connected to my music. Like, I was writing stuff that reflected who I was, and that was just like incredibly freeing. It was the most amazing feeling on the planet. And I just released my first song that was written in that time period, almost a little over a week ago. And I don't think I could have done it without having those experiences. And I also, from this point onwards, plan to release a song every 1 to 2 months for the next little while. And I know, I'm excited. I, again, couldn't have done any of it. I wouldn't have had the work ethic. I wouldn't have had the connection with myself to do this if I hadn't had those experiences. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you should go out and do drugs, but if you are of
Yep.
a good age and you are doing them responsibly and as a self-exploration, not as like a party thing,
Mm-hmm.
I found them very helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. There's so much to go into there, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where to start. What was it about those experiences that brought you closer to yourself? What would you say that is?
I think a lot of it, so starting with weed, I wasn't very good with it. Like I had a lot of freakouts, like overwhelming, like moments of like getting too high. And like feeling like I couldn't breathe and stuff like that. And just working through that helped a lot because that was just my anxiety being like multiplied of intensity. It was like putting my everyday anxiety, taking it from my subconscious and putting it in my face and going, this is what's going on in the back of your head. You better deal with this a little bit. So every time that I would that would happen, my boyfriend would just kind of sit me down and like talk me through it, and I would calm down. And I just noticed that every time that happened, it got a little better and a little better and a little better, to the point where like that it still happens, but it's rare and I can control it, and I can like without help talk myself through it. And I see that reflected in my day-to-day life as well. I get super anxious, I get super stressed about something, and I can now talk myself through it where I really couldn't have before. I would have just like wanted to go hide in the closet and like die. It's an often common feeling. So that's one way that it really helped, because lowering those barriers kind of allowed me to figure out more who I was, be less afraid to say stuff, all of that kind of thing. And then for the mushrooms and the LSD, it's a little trickier. I only did them once. I don't think I really explored the full what they have to offer, the full of what they have to offer. But it really, I did MDMA too, which MDMA is right now they're testing it to cure PTSD. So I think PTSD right now, you have to like, if you go on a drug, it helps, but it doesn't help much, is my understanding. It just kind of numbs things and you have to take it for the rest of your life. And right now they're doing MDMA testing on PTSD victims, and within 3 sessions, so 3 doses, they are mostly cured and they never have to do it again. Like they're cured, which is insane. So again, that one I found helped a ton with my anxiety. And it's very hard for me to explain how, but it's just, it just drops down all of these walls. It does some ego death happening. So just killing of the ego, it drops down all these, you just realize that you've built up all of these walls, all of these kind of lies that you tell people about yourself, about what you're feeling, that then you start believing the lies, right? And you just don't even realize you've been doing this. And then all of these things just go, hey, you've been doing this. Look, you've been lying to yourself about this. You've been lying to yourself about this. And it's hard because it's like you're getting slapped in the face over and over and over and over again, because your reality is breaking down around you. But then you come out of it and go, wow, okay, so this inside of me, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. And now I can push that aside and kind of just move forward and connect on a more authentic level, because I don't have all of these frivolous like anxieties or lies about myself in my mind. Yeah. Maybe the best way. I'm going to listen to that later and go, I could have explained that so much better. But for now, that's about all I got.
I've heard it's so hard to explain these kind of things to people, because it's not something you can say with words, really.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Probably say it with a song at some point, but yeah.
That's just what I've heard. Yeah, I can see why you feel like you're a completely different person after, breaking down all those things, dealing with all those things.
Yeah.
does it have anything to do with your new song? Because you did say you wrote it during that period, right?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it has to do with that song in relation to just that's what was happening at the time, and that's why I was able to write the song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know what? I mean, it does a little bit because no matter what if I'm going through something and I'm trying to do some kind of art, it comes out a little bit. So that song is mostly just about exploring creativity and imagination, and how you can. Yeah, it's very connected actually. How you can see the world in front of you and see it as how you think it is, but you can always have this different projection of perception that you put onto it. And everybody has a different perception that they put onto the world. So if there's all these perceptions of the world coming from all these different people, including yourself, then what is reality? What is the reality that you see? It doesn't exist. Not really, because not like you think it does anyway. It's not this concrete thing in front of you. So it's about that. And then in the end of this song, I do go into that lying to yourself thing a little bit, where now I'm forgetting my own lyrics, but just that the lyrics are something like, and I know that life is hard, give it more than you can take, I'm gonna forget this. It is just about knowing that there is no single truth in that way. There is no single truth, meaning as a reminder to myself that no matter what I'm believing about myself, it could be a lie or it could change in the next minute. So don't constantly be looking for that one specific truth about yourself, because it doesn't exist. It's never going to be there. Kind of, yeah. I'll work on that description and through the next couple months try to get it a bit more succinct.
No, I love that. I love that.
Great. Yeah.
I'm just gonna read like the under your song you had. I listened to it. It was great. It was amazing.
Thank you.
I can't. Yeah. It was really great. And I shared it with some people and they said it was amazing. So everyone listening or watching should go see it if you haven't already. I'll put in a link in the description. But I just want to read like the little description you had for the song, and you can tell me more about that.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so this photo is part of a multimedia series that illustrates the world of the song. I've always been obsessed with the idea of alternate realities, worlds that are not completely separate from our own, but that interact with or sit gently on top of the reality we're used to. Siren is a song about that layer, the layer of creativity and imagination, and the immense need I have to live there. Yeah, so tell me more about that.
So to start with the photo things, that was I'm very into visual arts as much as music, and my goal is to always connect the two as much as possible, to have like a very create a visual world for each song that I'm making, whatever that means for whatever specific song. So earlier this year, I had wanted to, like, I had planned to be in LA, but that didn't happen because COVID. Yep. And so I wanted to be near the ocean. I thought I'd be near the ocean to like get some shots that I was going to do stuff for, and I wasn't. So I kind of reached out to my community, my friend group, and had them send me their pictures of the ocean that they had in their archives if they were willing to share. And they did, and they sent a ton, and I'm still trying to work on them to get them out. But that's. So I wanted to create this kind of 3D renders and Photoshop workings on top of regular photos of the ocean. So kind of create a fantasy world within a normal world. So yeah, that's the photo part. And then the alternate reality it's kind of basically what I was explaining before, but in a more succinct and less rambly way. Just that, you know, with your creativity, you can create any space that you like around you. And that perceptions are always changing. Your perception will always be changing. And that for myself, that last line about my need to always live there is just I really have the need in my life to always be pushing myself to uncover these lies, find these perceptions, like see if they're beneficial to me, see if they're not, and just to always be immersed in creative and imaginative things in general. If it's music, I've done some acting, art stuff, dancing. I don't know, I'm very drawn to all of that. So yeah.
So not just music, it's like the entire world of imagination.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to encapsulate.
And yeah, definitely something I want to combine. Go moving forward.
Someone's saying, oh yeah, one of my friends in the comments is saying he's listening to it on loop.
Amazing. That is amazing. Thank you. I released it, I think I said like a week and a half ago, and I've almost gotten to 1,000 streams in that time, which I literally can't believe. I am so happy and grateful. It's like maybe a shallow thing. I kept checking the numbers, but oh my God, it's so cool. I feel so blessed.
It's really addicting too. It's not just good, it's addicting. It's like,
that is amazing.
You want to keep listening to it. And there's like so many layers in the sound.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I show one of the photos from the collection and then you can talk more about it? And what did you do those? Like were you the artist for those?
Yeah, I did the art. Wow. I didn't take the photo of the ocean, but I did the art on top of it. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you are very talented in many things.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna screen share so everyone can see that. Hold on a second.
I may have like 0 things to say, but let's give it a shot.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Okay. I don't know which one to pick though. They're all so nice. I'm just gonna pick one. Oh, this one is interesting. Okay. Oh wait, but you probably can't see it. I just realized.
But you can describe it and I'll know.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't think this through.
It's all good.
Wait. I think I'm screen sharing now. Just gonna go back and make sure it's working. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's the one with, let's see, this is gonna be good for our audio listeners too.
Yeah.
It's okay, how do I say this? I guess the horizon line is pretty low.
Okay.
And then it's like three circles kind of above each other, and the top one's really big with squigglies circling around it. And then there are similar things in the background.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I gotcha. Or at least I hope I do. And again, I might not have much to say, so it might not matter. But yeah, okay. So what do I have to say? What I have to say is pretty general, and it's basically just that I had this image come to my mind of how I wanted to represent this song, which was just in a very glossy, very kind of Vogue-like fantasy way, which is annoying because it's hard to get that glossy and polished. Like, it's not that easy. And so I did it with Dimensions, Adobe Dimensions, which I don't know if anybody knows, if there's any graphic designers, you'll know, but it's like basically a 3D product mockup program that is not necessarily supposed to be used for abstract art. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. But I basically just cut up, like, they had splashes and they have spheres and they have cups that you can model stuff on, and I cut them up to make these abstract worlds. And I still am, but was learning how to use the program as I was putting these out. So like a couple weeks ago, I'm trying to learn how to use it and put them out. Like, I've never made images like this. I am so proud of myself that I actually was able to accomplish them. Yeah. So I think that's basically all I have really to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have a concept for each of the photos, or was it just more like Well, I guess, is there any connection with the song? I guess I would like to
Yeah,
ask first.
the connection of the song is just like the perception of the alternate
Yeah.
reality. In this case, like the siren, the fantasy like aspect of the siren being placed gently on top of our normal reality being
Mm-hmm.
the photos themselves. So like, yeah, just that combination of the normal with the unnormal
Mm-hmm.
a bit. So that's the connection. And also just creating a glossy, colorful, pretty photos to go to tell the story of the song itself. Um, yeah, you asked me something else as well.
Oh yeah,
I
I
feel like,
kind of
and
changed the question in the middle. Sorry. So I guess when you were making the photos, was it just what you were feeling in the moment, or did you have some sort of concept for each one?
I knew that I wanted them to be kind of scaly, which some are, some aren't. Like tentacly,
Mm-hmm.
squid like, fantastical squid like. um, and apart from that, not really. It took a lot of playing around because I also had the limitations of not knowing how to use the program. So maybe if I knew how to use it better, I would have been like, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to make. But it didn't work like that. I was like, why can't I turn this thing to the left? It needs to go to the left. Oh, wait, it went to the right. Actually, that's kind of cool. Let's stick with that. What about, and that's kind of how, that's how things went forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have, I think, uh, something like 6 or 7 left to make. And I have no idea what they're going to be yet, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to keep posting them on my Instagram, which is where I will do a shameless tagging situation. And you can go to my Instagram and it's LACI, LACI.LELLE. And you can follow me and then you can see the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they really do. They're these, I guess, bluish pink, right?
Yeah.
And you change the sky too, and the sea, or the ocean, rather.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
change those colors too, and they're like very dreamy and vibrant looking, and I feel like it connects to part of like the subconscious kind of, or
Yeah.
like back in the head. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very
definitely a
enjoyable.
bit for sure. Honestly, I'm still, whenever anybody asks me about my art or my songs, especially when it's a big project like this, I'm still discovering myself what it means. Like I know some of it's a bit foggy. Like some of it, the stuff that I say about it is true, some is bullshit. And then as like I progress to get to know the song better, or other people say things, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. That's the song. I like discover what it's actually about
Uh-huh.
along the way. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then yeah, I'm thinking about the song.
Yeah.
um, I want I would like to hear more about your struggles with music before, and then I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's like it sounds kind of like you had some breakthrough pretty recently, and then you were able to make this song. And then before you
Yeah.
were searching for your voice. So I want to hear more about maybe a time when you're really frustrated
Yeah.
where you couldn't put what you wanted to put into your music, or it didn't come out the way you wanted.
Basically my entire life up until this point.
Oh no.
25 years. um, yeah. Man, yeah, it's this feeling of like walking or trying to walk through molasses blindfolded with your feet cut off. And but you just keep like plowing forward, writing song after song after song, and it's like they're all like and you're just like trying to part this thick grossness of molasses, and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner the more songs you write, and you kind of finally get something that's like, oh, that resonates, that sounds good. That's what I was trying to do 25 years ago. Except not, because I wasn't doing it when I was a baby. But yeah, so I don't really know how to explain it, because I don't know that I totally understood it as it was happening, apart from that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do just think it was about getting to know myself, and I didn't know who I was, so I couldn't write songs because I couldn't write songs that I felt like I connected with because I wasn't connecting with myself in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was just like, that was never going to work. Yeah, because it was never like I played piano probably, I don't know, 7 hours a day for years. So it was never the technical side that really held me up. I never felt like I couldn't, I heard something, but I couldn't emulate it because I didn't have the technical skill. Like that wasn't so much the problem. It was just like something authentic was missing that I couldn't explain who I was because I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you realize that music was connected with who you are, and that expression of music was part of who you are? I guess
it's like that's a good question, actually.
So parallel, right?
Yeah, that's I was just talking to my friend about this this morning, actually. So it's funny. Yeah, so basically why I got into music or why I chose to do this as a career, I don't know, because let me rephrase that. I thought constantly that it was just like, music chose me, I didn't choose it, kind of fate-ish, we have destinies type of thing, because that's what it always felt like. And now I think actually that I was conditioned to be an artist by my parents a little bit. So the earliest memory I have of music is my parents telling me that when I was 5, they were at somebody's house and that person had a harp, and I'd never seen a harp before because I was 5. And I went up to it and I just played Mary Had a Little Lamb note for note, like without a mistake, on the harp. And they were like, what? And like I heard the story over and over and over and over again growing up. And then at 12, my dad got me a guitar and started kind of teaching me guitar. And he was teaching me the one song he'd been working on for a couple years. And I learned it in a couple days. And so then there was a lot of gratification of like, oh my God, you're so good. I've been working on this for years. You learned it in a couple of days. You're a genius. You're a genius. You're a genius. And then just like, it was like that going forward, which is great. Like my parents were very supportive of me in music, is one way you can look at it. And the other way is that you could look at it like I was, like that reward system that you use to train dogs, kind of. So like you give them a treat when they do what they're supposed to. The appreciation was my treat. And like, so I learned to like music because of the gratification that I got from being told I was good at it. Right? So is it that I actually liked music and went into it of my own decision, or was I conditioned to just like it and then saw no other option? I don't know. That's something I'm asking myself right now. And I'm trying to see too, like, is there any other thing that feels like right for me? Would I rather be a graphic designer? Would I rather be doing this over here? And I'm not sure yet, but I'm trying to explore that. Yeah. I don't know if that kind of answers what you were asking a bit, but
I don't actually
I ramble.
What I asked. Yeah. So
yeah,
but it's not really just music for you, right? Is that just what you're choosing to focus on? I don't know. Does that make sense?
A bit. Like, do you mean it's not just music as far as all the other art forms, or it's not just music as in I connect so much of myself to it?
I guess more like for art or
okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
Like,
either one makes sense, kind of. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I really don't want it to be. Okay, let's start with this. There are these shows happening in New York City now that I know of, but they're probably happening everywhere, where they're plays, but they are interactive. And they're doing all these interactive plays because they realize that nobody has the attention span to go and sit for the length of an actual play anymore and enjoy it. It's rare. So there was one specifically that was Alice in Wonderland related that I heard on a podcast that happened in New York City. And like you walk in and it's a play. There are actors, they have lines, but you are standing, you're walking through different rooms, you're doing activities, the actors are guiding you, like it's half improvised, half they have lines. And I just went, wow, that's really cool. That's what we need more of in art, is like really all these new creative doors are opening up of this blending of things. And so that's really what I want to bring into my own art. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but definitely relating. Like, it's not just going to be I sit, I play a song, and that's it. There is going to be performance. Like, it's going to be a performance. And right now that is just connecting visual art, how I dress, how I talk, what art I connect to my songs, all of that stuff is connecting that to the music. And eventually I want to connect dance to it. These are all pretty common things that are connected to pop music now. I want to get even weirder. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm kind of just starting to visualize the path I'm going to go down. But yeah, just weird creative doors like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it sounds like you have almost a entrepreneurial kind of mindset a little bit.
Yeah.
There mixed in with art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I'm really trying to. I think that is so important. And I've never been like that before. But I think that if I or any artist wants to succeed, that's what they need to have to make it, is that entrepreneurial business type of mindset. And it's difficult to have that as an artist, because it's not where your brain commonly goes. You kind of have to make it go there. You have to do the reward treat system, find a way to treat yourself for doing good things, and just change your mindset a little bit, because it really does help to have that entrepreneurial outlook. Yeah.
Yeah. I often feel like when it comes to art, there's like a very business side to it, and then kind of what we were talking about earlier, where it's very connected to who you are as a person. And I've always viewed those kind of separate, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that and how you've managed to, I don't know, put those into perspective as you make your art.
Yeah, I always viewed them as separate as well. And I think that definitely that's not a good thing to do. I think that you really need to view them as connected, because it's really easy to go like, the entrepreneurial stuff is shallow, my art is meaningful, they don't connect. Like, I can't, it's so frivolous, I can't have that connected. But you have to find a way to also, like, there is an art form to entrepreneurship. That itself is an art, and that itself is full of creativity. If you go there, if you put enough power into it to like give it a boost of creativity and like pizzazz. So that can be an art form, and that's what you have to do. And then you can kind of combine them. And it doesn't feel inauthentic, because it's just another one of your art forms. I totally forgot the question that you asked. I don't know if that answered it.
No, I think that answered it. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
No, I answered that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Right. Let me think for a second. I kind of want to go back to that kind of personal side of art, where it's connected, where your art is connected to you as a person. Because I think some people who aren't as creative, or maybe some people who haven't really experienced that connection with their art, might have trouble understanding it. It's just interesting too.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's like, it's just like talking, right? So you can have, or having a conversation, because talking is more like everybody can talk. But like having a conversation, especially one that's meaningful, it's a very similar feeling. So like, you can go and have a conversation with somebody that you really respect and admire, and you can just like muddle the whole thing up, be completely inauthentic, not explain yourself properly, and then feel super not confident because you just didn't explain yourself properly, and then you're like mumbling, and then you leave the conversation, you feel like an idiot because they're never going to want to talk to you again. That's what it feels like to write a inauthentic song. Is like that same feeling. Or on the other part of that, you could have a conversation with somebody. You can kind of put your walls down, put your borders down, and just like you're freely talking. And there's like you're thinking about what you're saying, because that never goes away, but you're not self-conscious about what you're saying, and you feel like you've explained yourself properly, and you feel like you've done yourself justice, kind of, and you know when you leave that conversation that you will probably be talking to that person again. I don't know, maybe you've had an experience like that, or people have had an experience like that. That is exactly what it feels like to write a meaningful song that you just feel is connected to yourself, because writing music is really just like having a conversation, except you're having it with yourself and your instrument, I suppose. Though technically it's just an extension of yourself, so basically yourself. Yeah. I think that's the best way I can explain that. I can't. Before I plugged my Bluetooth headphones in to try to fix them, and it was like, nope, you can't connect these. And now it's like, we've detected Bluetooth headphones, and I'm like, they're in my case, they're away.
When you don't need them, it happens.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's how it always goes.
Yeah.
I think you put it really well. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
It's having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know if you have any of your older songs anywhere posted.
I have them not online. I have them. Yeah. I am so. I never did proper recordings of anything. So when I was 15, I made an album on the guitar, and I recorded the whole thing in my bedroom. And like, for a 15-year-old in their bedroom, it is pretty good quality, but compared to like polished pop songs, it is very poor quality. So I don't really have them up anywhere. And in fact, I have specifically taken them down and hidden them under rocks and shit. But yeah, they exist. Maybe at some point when I feel like I have enough confidence of like establishing like, hey guys, this is what I can do, I'll pull out what I did do a while ago. Yeah. I think right now I have a YouTube channel that might still have some old stuff on it, but by the time this video goes out and people might be watching it, it might be gone, so there might be no point in mentioning it. Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah. Relationships with art is a funky one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sure all the artists out there can relate.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think though definitely at some point I will make a point of posting all of my older stuff, because I think that showing anybody who wants to get into the arts, a lot of times like artists will just be like, look, guy did all this polished stuff and it came from nowhere. I'm like, no, that's not true. I have like archives and archives of shit sitting on my computer that like I'm not letting you see, all of the like no makeup selfies type of situation. And I think it's really good to put those things out, because then it makes other people, especially people who want to go into this industry, go like, oh wow, that's about where I am now. Like I was hating on myself because I wasn't to this pop star level, but when they were my age, they were doing stuff like this, and it kind of is like the same quality. I think that can help so much push people or give them confidence to follow the career that they want to. So I definitely want to make a point of doing that later on. But right now I feel like people are just going to get confused and think that's what I do currently, in which case that's not what I want. Like, so I might wait a bit.
Yeah. Makes sense from like a branding point of view.
Yeah. Again, the entrepreneurship. That one. Can't say it, but try to do it.
Yep. Yeah, especially now it's like everyone just puts their best stuff out. It can be pretty discouraging for younger people who are learning.
It can be discouraging, and then especially when it's appearance based for teenagers with all the freaking hormones that I hate, it can be disastrous for your mental health. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Those
Me
hormones.
too. I have gotten caught in that trap. Fucking hormones.
Fucking hormones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do? I'm actually not sure. Do you do any arts, or what do you focus on?
I did animation for a while. I was pretty obsessed with specifically traditional animation.
Okay.
And so the only place that does traditional animation now is basically Japan and a few other places. So I went to Japan and kind of studied it for a bit. But then I realized I have all these interests, and I was kind of had to face myself in that regard, where I realized it was the wrong path for me. So now I'm back home and just doing a bunch of different stuff and
Yeah.
creating different things.
That's good. It's the exploring phase. I definitely went through that.
Yeah.
So wait, so what you said, traditional animation, what does traditional animation consist of?
Oh, yeah. I'll explain it. So it's a lot of animation nowadays is done digitally. So it's using a program on a computer and then drawing directly into the program and then creating movement in a character. But with traditional animation, it's with pen or paper and pencil. And then you draw each frame of the animation independently and link them together in the computer. So it's just a difference between digital and pen and paper, pencil and paper.
So it's like Hayao Miyazaki stuff versus Disney cartoon stuff that's happening.
Yeah, but
because I bet those are more digital.
Both were traditional back in the day.
Yeah, that's true. But they don't do that. Does Disney do that anymore? I feel like they don't do traditional so much.
It's totally dead now.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is. There's something magical about it. Nobody can argue with me on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't. There totally is. There was a really good podcast I was listening to that now it's going to be stupid mentioning because I don't remember the name of the podcast, but it was about just all these creative little info facts, and one was talking about Disney back in the day when they used to do the traditional animation style. And they were talking about, I forget what movie it was Cinderella or something, where there was a cat and the cat goes down the stairs, but like its insides turn into an accordion. And like they were talking about something, the expression that the artist who did that was able to create on the cat can never be replicated with digital tools in the same way. Like the amount of feeling that went into that image, to that cat's face, it's never going to be what I just said recreatable with digital content. Yeah, so it's definitely cool. I think a lot of traditional art is dying, and it makes me pretty sad. Yeah,
there's part of it's because there's a process behind it, and there's almost a culture behind a lot of old ways of doing things, even if they may not be as efficient, and that kind of dies with those things.
For sure.
Yeah,
it's sad.
Sad, but life must go on.
Yeah, evolution, survival of the fittest. Yeah.
What do you use? What do you usually use to make songs? Is it just a program or?
Yeah, I'm learning how to use Logic. I don't know how much you know. So it's like GarageBand, but more intense and more annoying, and you'll curse at it more often. So yeah, it's just a digital audio workstation, so a DAW. And I recorded like 10 songs last year in a studio in Kingston, Canada. And so I have those recordings, and I'm just trying to edit through them and mix them with Logic. And I'm doing the vocals in my bedroom, and like I could show you, but I'll probably rip my computer apart, and it's dark.
Right,
it's like this little nasty corner of my bedroom. You can kind of see a microphone with a bunch of boxes. It's very elegant. Not. But so that's where I'm recording all the vocals. That's where I recorded the vocals for Siren. And then I'm just trying to learn the art of production, and I'm trying to learn how to mix stuff, and it's a long agonizing process, but I will get there. The last song, Siren, that I did was actually really cool because I don't know if anybody knows Becca Stevens who's listening, but she's a really good musician who I've loved for years, and she was offering free songwriting classes, or not free, but songwriting classes over the course of COVID. And I took one of them, and she really liked the song, and then she gave me the name of her producer who produces. His name's Nick Hard, and he produces for Snarky Puppy and a bunch of really cool bands, and he also really liked the song, and he helped me finish the mix on Siren. And that was super cool because then I got to not fuck with Logic for a little bit. But yeah, I'm trying to learn how to use Logic. I have my computer right now balanced on my keyboard that I use to record my stuff. Yeah, I really want to get efficient though of doing it myself and doing it quickly so that I can pump out quality content. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully well.
Hopefully.
Yeah. If I can keep that work ethic up. Yeah. Yeah.
That's also something that needs to be learned.
Yeah, exactly. Ever since January, it's been learning Logic, getting better at singing, learning work ethic, learning how to talk to myself in a helpful way. It's like months of exploration. I feel like that's probably true for a lot of people. Maybe just the lockdown, really, everybody had to get into their own heads and sort through some stuff to survive and not go insane. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're recording, it's kind of a technical question. I don't know if everyone would be interested, but do you do something to block out the noise? Because I guess there's reverb, right, when you're singing.
Yeah,
and it messes
there's really
up stuff.
nasty room resonances that suck really bad. I don't do it as much as I should because I'm lazy, and I find that like sometimes I'll try to like tape up blankets and test out the sound, which is what you're supposed to do if you care about quality sound as a recording engineer. And I find that if I spend a lot of time doing that, I can't really leave it up because I have like this tiny corner of my bedroom, and I don't want to leave this like huge hanging mass of blankets because they fall down in the night and freak me out. But yeah, I find that if I put that much energy into setting up the sound, I lose a lot of quality from my performance. Whereas if I can just like be like, okay, I'm feeling really like I want to record some vocals right now. My voice is feeling tight. I'm feeling good. And I go in and I record some. I get a really great recording, even though I sacrifice some of the sound quality from room resonance. So I'm kind of playing around with what do I prefer? Do I prefer quality vocals, but like lacking performance, or the performance? And so far it's always been the performance. So at the most, what I do is I like take my bathrobe and some duct tape and I like stick it to the wall behind the microphone. And I don't know if it does anything, but I hope eventually I'll have maybe enough money to buy one of those more official, like little things that go around the back of the microphone that I should know the name of. But it's like a muffler for resonance. Yeah. DIY. Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
That's pretty smart. It's actually to realize that there's that balance, and then just go for the recording instead of taking all that time.
Yeah, it's when it's one or the other, you got to pick the better of the two worlds. Yeah. Sadly.
So how have you been, I guess, well, you did say you took some classes for production right, recently, but...
sort of, not really. I YouTube videos again.
Okay.
There is, Musician on a Mission is a YouTube channel where he just explains a lot of production and a lot of mixing stuff, like in-depth tech stuff, specifically for Logic, I think.
Okay.
And that helped me so much. I think he has a couple like where it's like a 6-hour live stream that he posted of him just mixing a song start to finish in his process. And it's like the most helpful thing on the planet because I can just follow him. I can copy him. Coming back to that Waldorf kind of copying the art thing. I don't know if they had you do that. Yeah, maybe it's not, maybe I wasn't even doing Waldorf and it was like a weird thing. I don't know. But so yeah, just copying what he's doing, right? Trying to replicate what he's doing in mixing until I can like do it from memory. And then once I do it from memory, I go, okay, well, for me, I think if I reverse these 2 steps, that actually works better for my process. And then you start to learn how to do it and also add your own flair. Yeah, so that's the steps that I'm taking at the moment. Yeah.
See. Free information.
YouTube. Yeah, free information. YouTube, super helpful for unschoolers, in my opinion.
We love YouTube here.
Yeah, seriously.
We're on YouTube.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep, we love YouTube here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I thought it's funny how you mentioned the copying the drawing thing.
Yeah. So what did you have art classes when you were doing the Waldorf curriculum?
I did it in high school, so I think it was probably very different.
Maybe that's why, because I did it. Yeah, like I don't even know what ages go to what schools. I went probably elementary schools when I did it, I assume. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I should know that. Yeah. How old are you when you're in high school? It's like 13 to 18.
Right. You're probably not familiar with the ages. Right.
Should be. I feel really, it's one of those things where I feel really dumb, but why would I know?
No, why would you know?
Yeah.
It's fine. I think after people graduate, they forget the ages eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. And most of the information exactly with the years of being there. Yeah.
Okay, so I was in high school from until I was 16 and a half, I think.
Okay.
And then I was in it for 2.5 years, so since I was maybe 15.
Okay. Okay. Were you doing homeschooling before that, or?
Not at all. I was always in school.
Okay. Cool.
I kind of found out about unschooling through a book and also through the internet.
Yeah. You were saying Grace Llewellyn's book, yeah.
Yeah, that book.
Yeah.
Great book.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I never read her book, but I somehow found out about Not Back to School Camp, and that's the other thing. I think I went from 15 to 18. That just like that really also helped me how to talk to people. I say as a terrible grammatical sentence. Help me learn how to speak to people. Yeah, so helpful. Yeah.
So the author of Teenage Liberation Handbook also has a camp called Not Back to School Camp. Yeah. Do you have any advice for people who don't have communication skills? Would be the best way to put it. What can they do, I guess?
I would say nobody's gonna like this answer, but just force yourself into situations that make you uncomfortable. Like not that make you dangerously uncomfortable, but like just like go to parties, do those extroverted things that just make you want to like crawl out of your skin, because the more you do them, the more comfortable you're going to get. And if you try, and you won't be able to, but just try to be okay with failing and try to be okay with being super awkward. And sometimes what I'll do now is like when I'm first meeting somebody, even to this day, I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to be super awkward. That's what I do. That's who I am. And then like saying that to them is awkward as of itself, but it kind of gets this thing off of like, they know what to expect when I do something awkward. It's not going to matter. Like I warned them. So like you can even just tell people straight up your situation, like be honest, be like, I don't know how to talk to people, but I'm learning and it's nice to meet you. And I think that'll help a lot. But yeah, really just always, I'm really big into putting yourself outside of your comfort zone for everything, but also social stuff. You just kind of got to dive in and keep failing over and over and over and over again, and be okay with your failure, because your failure is growth, and it's teaching you how to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. One of the things I had trouble with after leaving school was the failing part.
Yeah.
That was a
It's hard
huge thing.
to this day. Every time I fail, like it's not a happy time. Like I try to meditate every day, and that helps kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
because it just helps me calm down and be like, doesn't matter, we're gonna die anyway. I can fail, it's okay. But yeah, that's, I mean, again, that's one of those lifelong processes where like it's never gonna get easier. It's not like you're ever gonna be like, oh, I failed, yay. Maybe you will, and that's cool, but generally, like, you're just gonna always have to keep reminding yourself throughout your life that it's good to fail, it's good to do these things. And you know, in the beginning, you're not going to be able to make yourself believe that. But if you just keep moving forward, like even if you just feel like you're blindfolded in that molasses, like stumbling forward, just keep moving forward. And I promise that eventually you will be a little more comfortable with your own failure. You will be able to talk to people a little bit more if you just keep trying to move forward. But yeah, it's not easy. It's hard. But it's a great reward at the end. Yeah.
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 It's funny because I feel like, I don't know, in the beginning you said you might blame a lot of things on your unschooling background. But for me, I blame a lot of things on my schooling. The way I was schooled. Like the problem with failing, I always blame it on school. I just thought that was interesting.
I think it's probably one of those human things where everybody just blames everything on their background, no matter what it is. If I'd gone to school, I would probably be blaming it on my schooling, right? It's just one of those things that I probably also just need to let go of and be like, it's in the past, it doesn't even exist anymore. Like, I was not unschooled, I was not anything, because I am in this present moment and I'm not doing it right now. So yeah, because yeah, that tendency to always do that is so frustrating. You know, that blame my past thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's funny.
It's good to see it.
Yeah, exactly. When you can see it, it's good.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think with the mistakes and failing too, it's good to do it, but seeing your mistakes, I think, and being okay with recognizing them is what really drives the improvement forward.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even have to be okay with the mistake itself. You just have to just recognize it and be okay with the recognition, and then keep moving, right? Don't focus on it. And if you can, it's hard, but if you can be grateful for it, like be like, that was cool, I screwed up, and now I'll know to not do that again. If you can find some way to be grateful for that thing that happened, that also is super helpful. Yeah. Even if it's just like, I screwed up, so I got to buy myself a tub of ice cream in consolation prize. Like, yay, I got ice cream. Like, the little things. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there ever a time when you wanted to give up on music or art? Did that ever cross your mind?
Like every day. Okay. Even today and tomorrow and the next day, especially since I'm making very little money and I am living with my parents right now. I moved back to Vermont with my parents, and I just feel like a total failure at the moment, my big failing moment, because I'm 25, making very little money, living with my parents. Like, this is basically how everybody who commented negatively on my homeschooling upbringing, this is what they were saying. It's like, you're going to be 25 and you're not going to, I'm like, well, I guess you're right. So yeah, there's pretty much every day where I am questioning if I'm doing the right thing. And I don't know, but I also think that there's no way of knowing. And I think that you should always be looking for, is there something better? Could I be doing what I'm doing better? Is there something better for me to do? Like every day, because every day it changes. And I'm also trying to do a lot of stuff with graphic design and freelancing and Upwork stuff, and seeing where that gets me and learning those tools. And yeah, I think in the end, I've concluded that it doesn't matter so much what you do as much as it matters that you keep doing it, and you keep doing it smartly. You keep working smart. You keep working on your work ethic. Like, as long as you have a good work ethic, it doesn't matter what you do, because you'll figure out how to do it. So I'm just kind of holding on to that and just forgetting the frivolous, like music doesn't matter. It's just the superfluous thing that is what's teaching me work ethic right now. And if it goes somewhere, that's great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. And I'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really nice, that's a like very constructive way of thinking, I think.
Yeah. I sound super constructive when I'm talking about this. Like, I'm not. I am the most, like, I have the worst self-critiquing thing on the planet that's like caused major depression for months and months and months, like horrible self-talk. So it sounds like I'm super positive. I'm not. This has taken like years of work and meditation and psychedelics to be able to talk like this. So just so that you know, if you are also talking to yourself negatively, like, that's me too. It's okay.
Yeah. Disclaimer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so hard to make money with art.
Yeah, I am still figuring out how to do it. It's ridiculous, especially with music, because nobody even buys the music anymore, right? So the music is like this free thing that you're offering, and then you have to create all of these other sources of income around the music, like merchandise, concerts, and now concerts don't exist. So you have to get even more creative, and you have to get creative with, like, everybody's doing Patreon, right? So I don't know. I don't have one, so I don't know how to explain it so well, but it's basically just this site where you pay an artist $5 or a certain amount of money per month, and they offer you more stuff for that membership. If it's like one-on-one coaching lessons or, you know, more content than they post publicly, stuff like that. So I think Patreon is actually the major way artists are making money right now, which is cool. But yeah, it's so ridiculous, and there's no correct path, and there's no easy path. But really, there isn't to any job, especially now. Like, everything has gone haywire. There's no, like, there are jobs that are easier to make money, but in the end, if you want to make a lot of money and you want to be really successful, you're going to have some kind of entrepreneurship, like, kind of very creative outlook on any job, no matter what it is that you do, if you want to really profit from it. So yeah, I think yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The world is changing too.
Yeah, I often wonder if the arts are so hard to make it in, or if people have just gotten so in the habit of saying that because arts are viewed as something that's not necessary, and everybody advises you to do stuff that is necessary. So it just became this habit that we say of, like, art is hard, you shouldn't do it, you know, over and over and over again. But is it really necessarily harder than anything else? You know, if you want to really get to the top of that thing, any other self-employed thing, if you're freelancing, I really think it's about the same amount of difficulty. We just have this outlook on art that is unhealthy.
Yeah. When I said that, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
In the back, I was like, wait a second. That's right.
Yeah.
It's been just said over and over again.
Yeah, over and over and over and over and over and over. I've heard it like 50 gazillion times, and then you start to believe it. I definitely, like, to this day, I believe it. You know, like, oh, it's hard to succeed in arts. I probably won't. I'm going to try anyway because I'm stubborn, but I probably won't succeed. But yeah, got to get it out, that social constructed thing. Yeah.
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 Oh, I'm really looking forward to your next release.
Yeah, me too.
I'll be
whatever it's going to be.
I'll be waiting in the shadows for it to pop
Amazing.
out.
Cool.
Yeah. Before we end everything, is there something you still want to say, or maybe we glossed over?
I think we pretty much covered things pretty good. I'm going to think of like 10 things the minute we hang up, but right now I've got a nice peaceful blank mind going, so I think we're good. Good to
Okay,
go.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
And
you so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
no, thank you. Seriously. I'm happy it was fun though.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Just talking to someone at this point after all the isolation is always going to be a joy. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping, if not now, maybe sometime in the future, because it's recorded. What you're saying will really be able to reach someone out there, and
So,
yeah, I'm sure it will actually.
If they can get through all of my rambling for hours,
That's no
find the message.
No problem.
Yeah.
That's me. So I'll ask you one final question. Okay, so what does it mean for you to walk your path?
To be constantly confident and at peace with the decisions and life choices that I make, and to constantly remember that it is a path and there is no particular destination. So like, it's good to have goals, but we're all going to the same place. And like, you're going to get there happy and at peace with what you did, or you're going to get there completely pissed off and regretful of the life you had, whether you accomplished, like, you could feel that way and have still accomplished everything you ever wanted to accomplish. It's all about the mindset. So to walk my path, I really just feel like that means to find confidence and self-confidence. Really, that's it, period. To find self-confidence and be okay with the decisions that I make. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
No. Sorry. I guess I'm just gonna ask if anyone in the watching has questions for LACI or for me or whatever. If not, I guess we'll just end the show. But if you have questions, write them now. I'm just gonna give it a few moments.
It's like crickets, chirp, chirp,
chirp, chirp. We are pretty small. Yeah, not much people watch us.
For sure.
We just started.
It's cool. How long have you been doing this?
Let's see. I gotta count the episodes to count the weeks.
Yeah.
But I think for about 2 months so far, and it's once a week.
Nice. What are your plans with it moving forward? Just to keep doing a show once a week, or?
Yeah, hopefully, if I get enough, if I find guests, and then if everything goes smoothly, that's hopefully how it goes. Because with the live stream, it's quite difficult because the scheduling is it's pretty rigid, because it has to be at the same time every week.
Right, exactly.
To gather the audience, and then when you have a guest on, sometimes the plans change or stuff goes wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping to continue it and see where it takes me, where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And just keep building it. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, especially now, it's with all the lockdown and isolation, kind of. I thought it would be nice to have something like this.
I think for sure, yeah. Any kind of connection, it's just it feels amazing right now. But that is the one good thing about lockdown, is just like, it's like we have built our tolerance back up for being touched or just any kind of connection. So now, like, just the smallest, like, little touch feels like ecstasy. You're like, oh my God, I just shook hands with somebody and it felt amazing. Fuck. Yeah. Which is kind of cool, actually. It's like a drug of itself. Yeah.
Like, you see someone's face and you're like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Your
I remember
old friend.
at one point I was walking some dogs, like first person I'd seen out of quarantine in like months. And he had dogs, and I was like, oh my god, okay, I have to pass this person. Play cool, play cool. Walk past the person, and then like our dogs got all mixed up, and like, and I was like, I had my hand through this person's legs, and I was like, this is really awkward. I don't know how to handle this. This is the first person I've seen. This is weird. And then I just like said nothing, got my dogs, and like kept walking, and it was so awkward. Yeah, little side story.
Nice.
uh,
Oh man. Oh, okay. Oh wait, so Joanna asked, are you inspired by Aurora's works? I don't know.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Aurora is an amazing pop star from, I'm going to get this wrong, the Netherlands, somewhere in that area. Yeah, you can correct me. I'm not sure. But yeah, she does amazing music that's like, it almost sounds, it's like a combination of like modern pop style with a little bit of like Celtic sounds or like just mysterious witchy sounds in it, and it's the best combo. She's super good. Yeah, I love her. I think I was listening to her record, the one with human in the title, but I can't remember. I'm so bad with names. On repeat while I was writing all of my songs on Siren last year. So yeah. Yeah, major influence. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a very unique artist. I only heard a little bit of Aurora before.
Yeah.
It's a very unique sound.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool. I love stuff like that that just sounds very unique and individual to the person creating it. It's rare nowadays. It's very cool. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Thank you for being on.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed talking to you.
It was a lot of fun.
It's great.
Yeah, it was super fun. I'm glad we did it.